Are you listening? Damn. Yeah. Yeah.
This is another episode of Trash Talk. I'm Damian Hill. With me, as always, is TJ O'Connor. Tonight on Trash Talk, we're going to talk about fighters that are forced to be their own publicist and manager, or the importance of, if they didn't think about that aspect, the importance of them taking over, especially with the new age and the new days of marketing and social media. And you're really in a good position to market and be your own publicist, really. But before we start talking about that, I got to go over the sponsors. Trash Talk is brought to you again by Valhalla Combat Sports Incorporated, Ink Shinks Tattoo out in New Brighton, Minnesota, James Clark Sports Psychology and Hypnosis Therapy, Spartan Martial Arts, the Striking Institute, the Fighters, TJ's mom, and I feel like I forgot one.
I can't confirm or deny.
I don't think so. If I did, I'm sorry. And now, what are your thoughts on that? Like, with the whole platform of, or I guess people able to create their own platform with all of the social media outlets. How do you think?
Oh man, the way I see it, this is obviously from my perspective of seeing this go. Fighters' number one fan, fighters' number one publicist should always be themselves. If you can't convince me why I should want to watch you fight, I'm not sure that someone else is going to be able to do it better.
I just got a question. What if that makes me look cocky, and I don't want to look cocky?
I mean, if that's the case, I mean, it's kind of an oddball game to play. But I mean, if someone else is pumping you up or you're pumping yourself up, self-belief is the number one thing. If you're at a party and your friend's telling me how you're going to beat my ass and you don't look up to it, I'm not going to take his words too serious. You have to be the ultimate. At the end of the day, you can only sell yourself. So whether it's mean mugs or flex it, look at like you're in shape, or telling them how it is, whether it's verbally or physically, you have to get the point across that you're the guy.
Yeah, I totally agree. I just wanted to throw that in there because I think that's the element that keeps a lot of the guys from actually doing it. And one of the things, like, I never understood, like, why can't you say that you're good, or why can't you put yourself out there? And then you say, well, I need an agent or I need a manager for that. Well, you're just gonna, all of a sudden one day somebody's just gonna present themselves to you. That's not all the time. Like, and there's some guys that just have an it factor on, they got the attention brought to themselves just organically, and then a management company decided to go in. But like, how do people think that?
Hey, Damian, I'm sorry, man. You cut out on my end right when you said that you'll need a manager or a publicist for that.
Oh, okay. So I was saying, like, good thing I can remember what I was saying. So yeah, I was saying, like, most fighters think that they need a publicist or a manager to promote themselves, to get stories out about themselves, and I don't like that belief, because it's not bad for you to go out there and tell people, hey, I'm good and you should support me. You're not going to put it that way. You got to think of creative ways to say it without coming across as a douchebag, I guess, if that's what you're afraid of. But ultimately, you got to be the one to do that. Like, let's say, I don't know, I'm trying to market myself, I'm trying to get an interview on the news so I can promote my fight, Well, guess who calls the news station to get that interview? Me. You call and you set that up yourself, you don't necessarily have a manager or an agent to go do it. You take that initiative. If they wanted to do the story or not, then it's up to them. But taking that initiative isn't a bad thing, because ultimately that's all the publicist is going to do for you, is they're going to call the news station and say, hey, they got to fight.
Oh, 100%. And as a fighter, you have to market yourself essentially not in the brand of to the media outlets, but you have to market yourself to the managers as well. I mean, you have to think, you have to give them a reason to invest their time and money into promoting you. They have to see that once they get you to where you need to be, that you can handle holding the torch and you're not going to freeze up under pressure. I mean, sure, the top 5% at the amateur level, whether it's MMA, boxing, whatever, you might draw enough attention through your skill to those top managers. They try to pick you aside. You see all the time in boxing, the Olympic guys, I mean, they have 2 days before they get swept up by Top Rank or PBC, whatever it may be, and then they begin the publicist. But what about the other 98, 95% of guys? If you want people to hear your voice, only person responsible for making that happen is yourself. I mean, it's an example, and to transfer it over, it's the old school, I mean, what we grew up with, the dirty South hip-hop. Those guys, no, they couldn't get a deal. They started playing their music out of their trunk because they knew you had to hear it. So when you have something that people need to see, you have to be the one that tells them. No one else can be responsible for that. If you get help along the way, that is great. That is amazing. It will help. But ultimately, it comes down to you.
Yeah. And let's say you're still, even after all of the things that we said, like it's on you. You should present yourself. You should market yourself. Tell your story. Go out and try to get it told on as many platforms as you can until it finally clicks. Do it. I mean, it's all up to you. I mean, and then second, if that didn't click, I mean, you got a girlfriend, you got a mom, you got a dad, you got a brother, you got a sister, you got somebody you trust that, hey, I don't feel like asking for this interview. Would you mind giving them this information that I have about me? Ask them if they're willing to reach out to me and have me on, and then I don't look like I'm asking for interviews and stuff, because a lot of people don't want to do that, or they don't want to seem like that. And it's like, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I love it like this. A closed mouth does not get fed, and your voice can only be heard if you speak up. So with both of those things being said, like, if you want an interview, ask for one. I mean, like us too, like not just, I mean, fucking anybody really, but us too. If you don't want to do it, have your brother, your sister, your girlfriend, your mom, dad, somebody message us and say, hey, my son has a fight coming up. This is actually his 7th fight. Blah, blah, blah. You haven't had him on your show yet. Boom.
Yeah.
Publicist. Now that's your job now, like that's all the job title is. And you could ultimately do that yourself, I mean, shit.
Oh yeah, I mean, you got, like I said, it comes down to you. But when you're lucky enough to have someone like that, like you said, you can trust a close member. I mean, think about it. Eric Murphy gets nowhere if Vince isn't a movie star, but Eric Murphy has to go there and get these interviews for Vince. Otherwise, he's not going to happen. So if he's not his best friend's #1 hype man, he doesn't turn into one of the biggest agents in the game.
Entourage reference, y'all. If y'all haven't seen it, go watch that shit. Oh my God, I feel like based off of a life I've never led, but still my life.
Nah. Random Entourage rant. What pisses me off is that show, I was so engulfed into it, and they've actually made movies in real life that they made in the show. Like, so I'm convinced in the back of my head somewhere that Vince is in The Great Gatsby, and then I watch it and I'm like, where the fuck's Vince? That's Leonardo DiCaprio. What's going on right now? Aquaman? Vince is Aquaman. Who's Jason Momoa?
Shut up. All right. So anyhow, those guys all have publicists, like they have people setting up interviews with Jimmy Fallon, with fucking On The View, on other talk shows and shit. But all they're really doing is saying, hey, they have this coming up. They're trying to promote it. And they also have this funny story to tell. You mind asking them about it? Boom. That's it. I mean, granted, we don't allow people to write we don't even write our own questions, but like, I'm not going to like only ask you what you want to be asked. But if you want to interview about your fight, come on, let's talk about your fight. You want to talk about you opening up your business or something, you transferring over to coaching, what have you. If we don't know that there's a story, we can't make the story.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, trash talk is a lot of things. I mean, it's the best show in the Midwest. It's the hottest thing under the sun. But the one thing we're not is mind readers. So if you got something you need to let out, you got to let us in so we can let the world know. That's deep.
it was until you said that. So, like, so anyway, people watching this video, and fighters watching this video, if you know of a fighter that is afraid to be their own publicist, you want to do it for them, reach out to us. If you're a fighter that is not afraid to be your own publicist, reach out to us. We're here for the fighters. We're on the fighters' time. Like this video, subscribe to Trash Talk with Damien and TJ. Don't be a hoe.